Thanks for the wonderful introduction, Kata. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this technical webinar session. This is Subhashni. I work here at Syncfusion as one of the product manager. Today in this webinar session, we are going to see how to integrate Google Calendar events into the Syncfusion React Scheduler component. Okay, let's get started. In this session, we are going to create a Google API key and get the public calendar ID. After that, create a simple React application with the Syncfusion React Scheduler component. Then, initialize the data manager and retrieve the data from the API and bind it to the scheduler component. First, let's start with creating a Google API key. I will open the Google Developers Console and create a new project with the default project name. It takes few seconds to complete the project creation, so let's wait. Okay, the project is created. In the navigation menu, I will choose View All Products and choose the Google Workspace from this list. Inside the Google Workspace, choose the created project in the drop-down list. You can see a list of APIs here and select the Google Calendar API from this products list. Google Calendar API page is open and we can find an enable button here to enable the Google Calendar API. Check now. The status states that the API is enabled. Next, we need to generate the API key. So, move on to the Credentials tab and click the option Create Credentials and generate the access key. It takes few seconds to generate the access key. So, let's wait for the generation. Okay, the key is generated successfully. I will copy paste this key in the notepad to use it in the application. Alright, API key generation is completed. Now let's move on to get the public calendar ID. For that, I will navigate to the Google Calendar app and click the settings menu and choose the settings option from the list. The settings page opens. Here, scroll down to see settings for the other calendars. Under this section, you can find two options, holidays list for India and holidays list for UK. Now, I'm going to add the UK holidays list into the scheduler component. So I will get the calendar ID for the UK holidays list calendar. I will copy this ID and paste it in Notepad to use it in the application a couple of minutes later. Okay, we have got the API access key and calendar ID. Next, we need to create a React application and add this Syncfusion React Scheduler component to it. So first I open the Visual Studio Code and open this folder in the C drive. Now I'm going to create a React application using the Create React App toolchain. So it is necessary to install Create React App toolchain globally on my machine. Therefore, I type the command npm install -g create React app. Okay, the toolchain is installed globally. So I will proceed to create a new React application. To create the new React application, I will type the command create React app and give a project name and type template TypeScript. By adding the template TypeScript to the existing command, we'll set up a TypeScript environment in the React application. Project creation has started, so let's wait. Okay, let me navigate to the project location using the cd command. Next, I need to install the React Scheduler component into this application. Before that, let me compile the default application by typing the command npm start. See here, our React application is opened in the browser. Okay, moving forward to this, install the Syncfusion React Scheduler component. Before that, I will remove the default code in this application. Now, I will remove the default code in this application. So, open the terminal and type the command npm install at syncfusion slash ej2 react schedule --say. The project installation has started, so let's wait for a few seconds. Okay, the package is installed successfully. So next we start to initialize the scheduler component. First, I import the scheduler component from Syncfusion EJ2 React Schedule package. Then I initialize the component inside the app function and set custom height and width for the component. After initializing the component, it is necessary to inject the view modules into the scheduler component because usually the scheduler component will be displayed with the basic calendar views like day, week, work week, month, and agenda. Here, to display the necessary views, we need to inject the required modules in the application. So, let me inject the view modules. For that, first I need to include the inject class and add the services property. Inside the services property, I inject all the necessary view modules into it. Here, this inject class and view module shows the error because we need to import all the necessary view modules and inject class from the Syncfusion EJ2 React Schedule package. After completing the modules injection, it is necessary to add the CSS reference for the scheduler component. So, open the app.css file and remove the default CSS styles in this application. Then, I import the material theme for the scheduler component and include all the necessary dependent component CSS reference also. Okay, the code changes for rendering the scheduler component is done. So let's move on to the output page. And here you can see the scheduler component without any appointments because we did not add any appointments to the scheduler. So empty scheduler is displayed here. Also, notice here an alert states that you need to register the valid license key to avoid this alert. If you want to know about registering the license key, you can check our documentation page. But now, I'm going to delete this alert by using the developers tool. Okay, now you can see the complete scheduler component here with the basic calendar views. By default, it is displayed in the week view, but you can navigate to day, work week, month, and agenda. Okay, next I will proceed to show you how to initialize the data manager and retrieve the Google Calendar events and bind it to the scheduler component. For that, I navigate to the code section and create a new instance for the data manager class. Here, this data manager class shows an error. So now I will import this data manager class from this package and continue further. The data manager requires three important properties like URL, adapter, and cross domain to interact with the remote API service. For this URL property, I'm going to assign a custom Google Calendar URL which is created using the calendar ID and access key. So I create a two variables which is of type string to store the calendar ID and access key. Now I will start to create a custom Google Calendar URL using the calendar ID and access key. Here, I have assigned the Web API service for the URL property. So, we need to set the Web API adapter for the adapter property. After setting the Web API adapter, an error is shown because it has to be imported from the Syncfusion EJ2 data package. Finally, I will enable the cross-domain. Now, I need to bind this remote data to the scheduler component. So, I will add the event settings API and assign the data manager instance to the data source property. Okay, so let's move on to the output page. And here, even though remote data is bound to the scheduler component, there is no appointments in it because the retrieved Google Calendar events will have its own object format, and this has to be resolved manually by mapping the Google Calendar event fields with the appropriate scheduler event fields. To map these fields, first I need to define a data binding event, and here I have set the event handler as on data binding. Okay, now I will start to define this event handler. Notice here, I have given the event handler argument type as TypeScript default type because the retrieved object will have the keys in string and values of any type. After defining the event handler, we need to store the retrieved data. So, within this method, let me create an array called items and store the retrieved data in it. After storing the retrieved data, I add a condition to check whether the item's length is greater than 0 and add a for loop statement to iterate the items. To create an appointment for the scheduler, we need a two basic information, which is start time and end time. So I create a two variables called start and end, which is of type string. Then I will assign the start date time to the start variable and end date time to the end variable. After that, I will create another empty array which is of default type to store the schedule data. Before proceeding, I would like to remind you one thing. We are going to display the UK holidays into the scheduler component. So, it is necessary to know whether the event is created for the whole day or for a specific time. To know this, let me create a Boolean variable called isAllDay and set the logic as if the retrieved event data start field is not having the date time. If isAllDay is true, then in start and end fields, you will be having only the date. So let me add the start and end date within this condition and set the dates alone for that variable. Then I will add the scheduler data variable and push the objects one by one after mapping to the appropriate fields. First, I will add the ID field and map the event ID field. Next, I will define the subject field and map the event summary field to it. After that, I will add the start time and end time fields and map the start and end variable to it. Here, the retrieved data will be in a string format. So I have used the date function to convert the string into a date. Finally, I will add the is all day field and map the is all day boolean variable to it. Then let me assign the scheduler data array to the result. Along with this, I would like to change the current view of the scheduler to month view because the scheduler component's current view will be week by default. Now let's check the output. See the scheduler component. It displays the empty scheduler. I hope I have mapped all the necessary fields for the scheduler event data. So what will be the issue? Yeah, first we need to declare the data manager instance. After that only we need to define this event handler. I hope this will be the issue. Let me copy paste this data manager instance and paste it before the on data binding function. Now let's check the output. See here, UK holidays are displayed in the scheduler component. Okay, so far we saw how to integrate the public Google Calendar events into the scheduler component. Suppose you want to bind your own Google Calendar into the scheduler component, then you simply need to replace the public calendar ID with your own Google Calendar ID. Okay, that's all about today's session. Thank you all for your wonderful time, and I hope you all found this session as useful.